Okay, we have ace jack off from the small blind. Button raises, open raises, and we're gonna 3-bet at 100% frequency this hand. We are very deep here, so I could 3-bet my whole range a bit bigger. My opponent calls, and now we go to a flop of queen 4-4 with a flush draw. Here I'm gonna range bet. Again, I used a very small sizing. We could go bigger, we could bet like 33%. He calls our c-bet on the flop, and now we see a turn, the king of spades. This turn is very nice for my range, because I will have kings, queens, he doesn't have those. He could have queens because of the stack sizes, he might not want to 4-bet it always, but I'm not really worried. He could have king, queen or ace, queen, and he could also have ace 4 suited. Those are the hands that I'm worried about, but given that I bet small on the flop, he could also have hands like 5s through jacks, especially with a heart, that he didn't want to fold on a small bet on the flop, but he's now gonna have to fold it against a larger bet on the turn. And I do bet, I bet large. If it was not a paired board, I could go even bigger. And he calls, and then the 9 of spades comes on the river. He doesn't have pocket nines, he doesn't have any full house. Maybe queens, but again, not really worried about it. There is also only one combo of pocket fours left, that it is in his range, but it's only one combo. And he also doesn't have the ace high flush, because I have the ace of spades. So given that I have all the nuts and he has almost 0 nuts, I think I want to try to get him off a hand like king queen, king jack, or I don't know, even a hand like ace 4. And I decided to go a bit crazy on this hand. I decided to shove it. Hello everyone, my name is Nick, and this is a footage review of 100 and 200 no limit hold'em on GG Poker. We'll play 6 max regular tables. Let's begin. Right away we have our first spot on the middle bottom table, a recreational limps in from early position. I raise to isolate him and small blind 3-bets. Early position player calls, leaving himself with only 15 blinds behind, and I call as well. We see a flop, and we now have a pair of aces. Both players check, so now the action is on me. I'm in position and I need no protection. So I decide to check it, because I can get a better understanding about small blind's hand when I check. On the turn he checks again, so now I feel even better about my hand. And early position player rips it in, but it's just a third of the pot, he's all in. I'm not really worried about him, and when small blind checks 2 times, I'm also not worried about him either. Again, no real decision for me other than to just call. I think I could have, I called pretty quickly. I could have taken a bit more time, yeah, I could. But the small blind player snap folds, so it didn't make any difference. We go to showdown, he has a pair of 5s, we win the first one. So it's a nice way to start the video. Which I'm now gonna go back a bit, so that we can see on the bottom left the king queen off hand from the beginning. I raise from middle position, both blinds called. Small blind is actually recreational, and we go to a flop. It's a king high wet board. I have top pair, very strong kicker, and on this flop, when I play multi-way, actually generally when I play multi-way, I will only use small sizes, and And this is a hand I want to bet on this flop because I have a great hand, it's a wet board, there is a recreational from whom I want to start building a pot and taking value from the flop. So I do bet my hand. Small blind calls pretty quickly. The action is on the big blind. And he decides to 3-bet, to check raise, sorry. And when he does that, he's gonna have sets, 6s and 5s, or 2 pair. But he's also gonna have bluffs, mainly flush draws and straight draws. Our hand is too strong, I believe, to consider folding. I'm gonna call at least one time. Recreational comes along, and now the turn is a great card for our hand. We have top 2 pair, and they both check, and they actually check pretty quickly, so that's a sign of weakness, I think, from the big blind. And when I have top 2 pair in this wet board with a flush draw and a straight draw and a recreational in the pot, I will always bet it because I want to get as much value as I can. He's never folding, the recreational never folds a king, never folds a flush draw, so I have to bet it. Which also mean I wouldn't try to bluff him. I bet like 75% or something, and they both fold pretty quickly. Not the best outcome given that we had top 2 pair, but still we win this one as well. And now we go again at another table where we raise from middle position with pocket 8s, button calls, and small blind, who is a player I have no information about, decides to squeeze. Pocket 8s will be a mix. It will be calling and folding. I will mainly fold, but this time, partly also because of the video, I decided to call so we can get some more action. And we flop bottom set, button folds, and we flop bottom set on again on a wet board. He c-bets, but he c-bets very small. He puts 7 blinds on a 30 blind pot, 30 big blind pot. And I think here our hand wants to raise because there are flush draws, there are overcards, we have so much to get value from. I don't like the sizing that I used. I think I could bet like 20 something blinds. My opponent calls, and now we turn a boat. It's a great card. The 10 is a great card. We now don't have to worry about a possible flush on the river beating us or something. Also pocket 10s, that is a hand that beats us. There's only one combo left now. And there are still many hands that we can get value from, like aces, ace king, flush draws, even queens, jacks with a spade. So I decided to bet very small, like 25%, because I wanted to keep his flush draws in. Maybe even a good flush draw he could try to solve or something. He does call pretty quickly, and now the river is the 7 of spades, and I hope that he got there on the river. He has 55 blinds left, like a little over half pot. I'm obviously shoving. And I hope I can get called from a flush or aces or ace king or a 10. I do shove. He folds pretty quickly. Not really sure what he could have that he would fold that quickly. Pretty happy with the way I played it, just I would change the sizing on the flop. I raised small. I think I could go 3x when he bets that small. Okay, so now we're gonna move forward a bit because there is no action until like minute 28, I think. And now we have a spot, we have ace king off from early position. I'm gonna raise it. Cut off 3 bets. And now the action is back on us. Ace king off will mainly be a 4-bet, but we can also mix some calls. This time I decided to 4-bet my hand. And my opponent calls. That's a pretty good flop for my hand and for my range. I'm gonna range bet on this flop generally. The sizing I use on these types of flops is 10%. It's also correct to go higher, like 20% or something. My range will consist mostly of ace x and pocket pairs between 9s and between 10s and aces. I will also have Broadway cards like king jack suited or king queen suited that I will bet everything. And his range is gonna have like ace queen suited, ace jack suited, ace 10 suited, probably some ace 5, ace 4 suited, again some pairs like queens, jacks, 10s. He's gonna have aces. It's definitely a hand on his range. And then some king queen suited, and on some small frequency small suited connectors like 5-6 suited, 6-7 suited. And I bet. Now the turn is a 5. He does have ace 5 suited, but there is only one combo available, the ace 5 of hearts. The other 3 are accounted for, so I'm not at all worried about this turn. I'm gonna continue getting value from ace x and flush draws, and hopefully put it in on the river. The sizing I use here is a bit higher than 33% because I want to set up a river jam. And given that I used only 10% on the flop, I will go a bit higher than 33% now. Now the river is a jack. He does have ace jack suited definitely, but there's only one combo of that left as well, the ace jack of clubs. And I believe it's pretty standard here to shove. There's no reason for me to do anything other than shoving. We're gonna be beat sometimes from ace 5 suited, ace jack suited, or aces or 9s. But then again, there are many hands that I want to get value from, like ace queen suited, ace 10 suited. Yeah, okay, so yes, I shove. it's pretty standard to bet with my ace king on an ace high flop on 4-bet pot. He does call, we lose this one. He hit the jack on the river, so he has ace jack suited. So he has a 2 pair, sorry. And we lose this one, but again, it was a pretty standard play by me and by him. We just got unlucky to lose it. Again, maybe my c-bet on the flop could be higher. I use 10% as a range bet. But it would change nothing on this hand. We were destined to lose this one. Okay, now we have pocket tens on the middle bottom table. Cutoff raises. He's also a player I have no information about. I'm gonna 3-bet with my tens at 100% frequency. And if he 4-bets, I'm gonna be calling. He doesn't 4-bet, he calls. Okay, this is a flop. This is one of the few flops that is king high, but I will not bet my whole range because of the 8 and the 9. They are connected cards, and he can have both the sets. Still, I think tens are a hand that I want to bet because I can get value from worse and I need protection. I checked it this time. I don't like it now that I see it again. I think it would be better if I had a bet. Now, given that I checked on the flop and the queen comes, I'm gonna check again because I just want to go to the cheapest possible showdown. He bets small. When he bets small, he's gonna have some queen x definitely, but I have underwrapped my hand, so I can't really fold it. He could just try to win it now. The ace comes on the river. I check again. He snap checks it, and he does have a pair of kings, so we lose it. We lose this one as well. I should have bet on the flop, I think, with my pair, with tens, but still we lost the minimum. And I'm gonna move it forward again to minute 43. Yeah, here. We play four-handed on the bottom left table. With button raises to 2 blinds. I have Jack 7 suited on the big blind and I call. I flop top to pair. And I check it to my opponent. He bets a third of the pot. I can mix here some calling and some check raising. I like to check raise more with this hand. I do raise. Here I will raise, my value will be Jack 7, deuces 7s, some good jacks. And I will also have bluffs like gut shots with backdoor flush draws. And now the 6 of clubs is a great card, I think, because it pretty much changes nothing. Like the hands I would check raise for value on the flop are still very strong on this turn. Sets and 2 pairs are still nutted hands. If a 9 or an 8 or a 10 came on the turn, they wouldn't be as strong because the straight would be the nuts. But now there is no straight. There's only straight draws and flush draws. So when I continue, I use overbet as my sizing because of the reasons I said. If it was another card like 8, 9, 10, I would use smaller sizing. I don't know, maybe 33 or 75%. Definitely not overbet. And here on the river we have the stone cold nuts. We can't lose, we can only split if he somehow has Jack 7 as well. Jack 7, he has to have Jack 7 off, so it's not on his range, I'm not really worried. I am winning. So now the question is, what do I do? Do I check it, try to induce a bluff by him? Do I bet? If I bet, what size do I use? I'm not really sure about the move I did. My thinking was that the hands that I check raise from the flop on this run out are nutted hands. They are sets, they are two pairs, and they have now become full houses. So again, I thought on this hand that if I bet it, I have to solve it. And I would also solve my bluffs. But given that I block everything, I'm not really sure about this particular hand. Like if I had sevens, it would make more sense to solve because I unblock Jack X and he's gonna call me. But now I block everything. So I could use a smaller sizing or I could check, I don't know. Be that as it may, I did solve. He thought about it. But he unfortunately folded. Maybe I lost some value here, I was too greedy. It just didn't make sense to me to use another sizing because of the hands I was representing. But maybe my thought process was wrong. No action for now. I have pocket sevens from middle position. I raise it. Button and small blind both call, they're both recreationals. We see a flop, a 10 high flop. I will check my whole range on these flops against regulars. Now against recreationals we can do whatever. Still I decided to check, and when the button bets without a diamond and with a 10 on board, I decided to just let it go. Now we have kings on another table. We raise it from the button. Small blind, who is a recreational, calls, and he donks actually on a Jack 9-9 flop. I just call with my kings. He has 35 blinds left. I want him to bet. I want him to donk. I call and the deuce comes on the turn. He checks it. He checks his hand, and I think I want to bet. because he can still have flush draws, he can still have gut shots, he can still have a jack, and I want to get value from those holdings. He snap folded, so I think he just dumped with whatever, hoping to just make me fold on the flop and take it down. Another spot is on top middle table. We have pocket tens. We 3-bet against a raise from the button. It's a slightly larger 3-bet because his raise was to isolate, and he calls, and we are out of position. We have pocket tens and the flop is 8-6-4 with a flush draw. So now my strategy here will be to either check or bet big, because with my hand I think I like to bet big because I need protection, and on many turns, like if he calls and the 3 of hearts comes on the turn, or the 3 of diamonds, I would like to shove. It's a simple strategy on this texture. I would check with hands like aces, kings, especially with a club, to protect my checking range. I bet big and he folds. Had he called, it would be difficult to play pocket tens on many turns, so I like that I took it down on the flop. I don't mind. Again, no action for now. Okay, we have ace jack off from the small blind. Button raises, open raises, and we're gonna 3-bet at 100% frequency this hand. We are very deep here, so I could 3-bet my whole range a bit bigger. My opponent calls, and now we go to a flop of queen 4-4 with a flush draw. Here I'm gonna range bet. Again, I used a very small sizing. We could go bigger, we could bet like 33%. He calls our c-bet on the flop, and now we see a turn, the king of spades. This turn is very nice for my range because I will have kings, queens. He doesn't have those. He could have queens because of the stack sizes. He might not want to 4-bet it always, but I'm not really worried. I think it's in very small frequency that he could have queens. He could have king queen or ace queen, and he could also have ace 4 suited. Those are the hands that I'm worried about, but given that I bet small on the flop, he could also have hands like 5s through jacks, especially with a heart, that he didn't want to fold on a small bet on the flop, but he's now gonna have to fold it against a larger bet on the turn. And I do bet. I bet large. I bet big. Yeah, don't want to really overbet because this is a paired board. If it was not a paired board, I could go even bigger, given our stack sizes. And he calls, and then the 9 of spades comes on the river. Again, he doesn't have pocket nines. He doesn't have any full house. Maybe queens, but again, not really worried about it. There is also only one combo of pocket fours left. That it is in his range, but it's only one combo. And he also doesn't have the ace high flush because I have the ace of spades. So given that I have all the nuts and he has almost zero nuts, I think I want to try to get him off a hand like king queen, like king jack, or I don't know, even a hand like ace 4. And I decided to go a bit crazy on this hand. I decided to shove it. I didn't feel like he could actually call me unless he had like pocket fours or pocket queens. And he did snap fold, so my bluff went through. I'm not really so comfortable playing 200 big blinds, and I definitely make mistakes, so let me know what you think about this hand, if it was a punt by me, or if it was a massive overplay, or if it was okay to take this line. And so we win this one and we move to the next hand, which is at another table, the ace 10 off. I'm gonna go backwards a bit so that we can see it from the start. Early position player raises. I am on the big blind with ace 10 off. I do call for one more blind. The delay is because at the same time I was playing the ace jack off hand. We flop top pair. We check on the flop. He bets 1/3. I'm just gonna call. And the turn is the king of spades. It's a great card for him to continue barreling. I check again. He does overbet. Our hand is way too strong to do anything other than calling. I do call, and now the jack of spades comes on the river. We have showdown value. We check hoping to just go to showdown. And now he bets 75%. So when he bets that amount, I think that I never win against any of his value bets. But I also block the nuts. I block the ace high flush. It makes so much sense for me to have ace x of spades. I also block two pair or top set or even a straight with my 10. So again, I think that the best decision here is to turn my hand into a bluff, because I block so much of his calling range. And he does snap fold again. We take this one down as well. and I believe that was the last interesting spot. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. That was the first video I made, so let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Hope you enjoyed it and good luck at the tables.